Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another episode of Mind Your Puckin' Business with your host, Jeffrey Krentzman.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks, as always, from the beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in beautiful Bergen County, New Jersey. This is Mind Your Puckin' Business, brought to you, as always, by our good friends at the Bamboozle Project. We encourage you to check them out. If you're following the video feed right away on the show today, you could see their link up across the screen. And remember, when you do visit, always use promo code MYPB for 25% off all MYPB gear. Actually, I believe that promo code works on anything on their site.
Everything and
not
anything.
just MYPB.
Yeah.
But we encourage you to be part of the movement, the MYPB movement, and continue to order your swag, whether it be the cool hats that are on the site or the shirts. And that is a good promo code to get it started. This is episode 67 on the Spanish dial, 67. We welcome you to our people on the SAP dial, and your questions can come in at any time. To us, as always, and we do take them, as you've seen, especially in the last few weeks, because there's been a lot of questions, at mypbshow@gmail.com, and that email now goes across the screen. In case you didn't hear me say it right, you can just copy it right off the screen, mypbshow@gmail.com with your questions. You can listen to us on a multitude of different platforms. That was a big word for me. I hope that makes sense. On YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and Facebook. So you can get your MYPB fix in your car, on your phone, on your computer, wherever you are. You have no reason, with the amount of platforms that carry us right now, to be able to find us.
Facts.
Right? Straight facts.
Yeah.
Shooting facts right out of the gate today on episode number 67.
It's going to be a good episode, yes.
It's going to be a good episode. Now, you do say that. I'm going to say, well, let's approach that, because I want to be fair to our listeners, that we were joking here in the studio because we did have a guest that was scheduled to come in that had some car issues. That's not going to be coming in
today,
so
maybe in the future.
Yeah, no, right. They'll be back.
So
episode 67 on your dial that you are sitting right now locked in and listening to is going to feature the next, 35 or 40 minutes, because that's usually how long we go, of straight up me and you, baby, and any questions that come in. So,
well, the good part is we are live. So if you people out there in the interwebs have a question, you could put it in the comments section and we can answer it live with you today. So you are our guest today.
There you are. Right. Any questions, send them in. We will take them throughout the show. Let's start. So what we're going to do today is a little bit of a different layout of the show. So I'm going to, again, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell it like it is. It's a little bit of a different layout here today. We always cover hockey. We always cover the Rangers, and we're going to do that today. Obviously, we don't have football anymore. So we're going to now go around and do some other sports. We have talked about some basketball on the show before. We're actually going to lead with that in a minute. But we're also going to talk about some other sports stuff going on, because we try to be in all sports show. Obviously, we're biased towards hockey and the New York Rangers, but we try to cover as many things as we can. So we are going to do some other sports today on the program. But let's start here before we get into sports, and let's talk about the world and issue going on right now and how it relates to sports. So obviously, you'd have to be living under a rock somewhere, or have no internet connection or a phone or something these days, to not know what's going on with this Russia-Ukraine situation. Now, I was certainly not a history major in college or a political science major to tell you exactly here what's going on. But you are starting to see now the effects of sports getting involved and starting to put sanctions on Russia. The NHL yesterday announced a pretty, I don't want to say a hefty penalty, but a plan in place now to kind of exclude Russia. And you're starting to see some other sports do it. So the only thing that I am going to say on a non-sports situation or non-sports comment about the Russia-Ukraine situation is we hope it ends peacefully. And we do think of everybody on that neck of the woods.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to get political or whatever like that, but like Ukraine is like the number one supplier of potatoes, nuts. Like they supply the world with a lot of stuff. So it's probably a good thing for them to be independent.
Yeah, I don't. So that, again, anything political, I'm not your guy.
Yeah.
I can roll with you and I could talk hockey for hours. I can talk Russian politics for 2 seconds. Do you know?
Yes.
True story.
Yeah.
Speaking of Russian politics, I just thought of this.
Yeah.
My sophomore year of college at Boston University, I had to, in our social science, was literally all about Russian history and the Cold War and Stalin and the guy with the K. I was gonna say Kucherov, but he's a hockey player in Tampa. He's not the guy. Khrushchev, I think it was. And that was about as far into Russian history as I can ever go.
Mhm.
So, like you said, let's just hope it ends peacefully, and we have our potatoes.
You just got to watch the movie Miracle, and pretty much sums it all up.
It is. Miracle, they did put out, it's random you say that. I was refereeing, we've talked here that I referee some hockey games in the local area for high school kids. I was refereeing a game on Thursday night. Not Thursday night, 2 nights ago on Sunday, because we're on Tuesday. And the winning coach was in the parking lot having beers after the game. And he was in Lake George over the weekend. And he had beers that were called Miracle on Ice beers. Pretty cool.
Who are they made by? Is that the name of the company, or is it like a Bud Light special?
I don't think it was a Bud Light. I think it was the name of an independent company. It was called Miracle on Ice Beers. I just saw it 2 nights ago. So it's really funny.
You track those down.
If
you track it down, please send a link to mypbshow@gmail.com.
Right. And you can get Dougie Sticks to order his beers.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's start here. Let's go back to last spring.
Yeah.
Okay. Last spring, it's a different world in 2021, right? Especially, I feel like what's happened with coronavirus is now time goes slower, right? So a year ago, to go back to March 1st of 2021, seems like a long time ago, especially if you went back 2 years ago, which is when the whole world shut down. Really, March 13th of 2020 was the day that the world shut down. Time goes slow, and it seems like forever ago. So let's just go back now 8 months ago. You ready? I'm sorry, not 8 months ago.
Wait, time out. So like, I might have to disagree with you a little bit. I feel like everything Corona time feels like 1 year, and everything before Corona time feels like it was like a year ago.
It's a matter of perspective.
Okay.
I mean, look,
you think it's been moving slow? I mean, it's definitely been moving. The situation's been moving slow, but it's like time flew. It's like, holy snap! Like 2019 was almost 3 years ago.
Okay. So, all right, let's go back 10 months ago.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
We're going to go back to May. I believe it was May on the show, or was it in April? We led one day on this program. I was so excited that I led this program one week, and you can go back and find the episode. I don't remember which number it was, but it's out there, where I led the show with the New York Knicks. And I was so excited because the Knicks were the hottest team in the NBA. They were on a autopilot road, cruise control to the playoffs. This was a team that was not expected to do anything because they never freaking do anything. And they were on literally autopilot into the playoffs. Julius Randle, who was a free agent signing the previous offseason, was having an MVP-like year. Thibodeau, the new coach at that year, was on fire with the Knicks. They were buying into the system. They were playing team defense. The Garden was not rocking because at that time there were not really fans. But everything was great in Knickland. Do you remember this?
Yeah, and they signed Derrick Rose. They made, they got a couple nice support players.
Things were great.
Things were starting to look up.
And full disclosure, and I'm not proud of this either, I am a Knicks season ticket holder. I have 8 tickets for every Knicks game. So I have a vested interest, aside from being a fan, like the Rangers, I have a vested interest in their success as a ticket holder, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The Knicks are on absolute cruise control going into the playoffs. Now, they matched up with Atlanta in round 1, and they lost the series in was it 6 games or 5? I'm drawing a blank. 5 games.
Okay.
Trae Young, 5 games. They were out. Trae Young lit it up on Atlanta, and they were out. But we all sat there and said to ourselves, you know what? We expected nothing. The Knicks have no future. Now, all of a sudden, they do. Julius Randle, was in the MVP conversation. He didn't win it, but he was in the MVP conversation. It looked like they finally had a competent coach. The new team president, Leon Rose, looked like he knew what he was doing. Things were great. And now, going into the 2021-2022 season, there's going to be a lot of optimism in Knick land for a change, right?
Yeah.
Dougie, how's this? Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we just hope that they build upon it rather than, because what's his name? Barrett. He was like the first round pick. He was like the first or second pick. Third pick.
You want to know why he was the third pick? Can I go on a rant for a second?
Absolutely.
The New York Knicks are have the worst goddamn draft luck in history.
True.
Let me explain something. Years ago, I watched an NBA draft one night. I wanted the Knicks to get Stephen Curry.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. I knew how good he was. I watched the tape on him. He was exactly what the Knicks needed. The Knicks were picking, I think it was 7th or 8th this year. It got to the pick before them. It was Golden State Warriors. What do you think happens? Who does Golden State take?
Steph Curry.
Gone. 3 years ago, 2019, you said it seems like it was yesterday. I remember it like yesterday. It was a Tuesday night in May. It was the NBA draft lotto, and the Knicks had a great chance, had the highest odds to get Zion Williamson, who was going to be the consensus number one pick from Duke, right?
Yep.
What happens? The NBA does this unveiling of backwards of their picks. And the Knicks are going to be in the top 3. You know, you have a 33% chance of getting Zion Williamson, and the Knicks franchise is going to be fixed. What do? They cut to a commercial break because of the suspense. You're sitting there, and I remember sitting in my room with my wife, watching this thing, thinking as a Knicks season ticket holder, this is what I need. This is why I paid these stupid tickets for a year. They're going to get Zion Williamson, and it's going to work. And you know what? If for some reason they don't, they'll get Ja Morant at number 2. Which from Wichita State, which will be fine. Just don't get number 3. Just don't get number 3, right? Cut back, go to cut in from commercial, roll out. Who has the number 3 pick in the envelope? I don't give it. I'm going to watch my language here. I don't care what logo is on that card. Just don't be the Knicks. Let it be Memphis or let it be New Orleans. Let it be one of them. And then I know I'm going to get Zion Williamson or Ja Morant.
Yes.
What happens? 3rd pick, New York Knicks. RJ Barrett. Now, RJ Barrett, if I'm being fair, hasn't been terrible, but he's not Ja Morant, and he's certainly not what Zion was expected to be. Zion hasn't been Zion either.
True.
But this team this franchise has the worst goddamn luck ever. It's like now the Rangers, on the other hand, which we cover extensively, get the number 2 pick with Capo Caco, which they shouldn't have had. And then, with this Corona Lotto situation, with this play-in bubble situation, the Rangers somehow make the playoffs and land with the number 1 pick and Alexis Lafreniere. The Knicks can't win shit. Pardon my French. They can't win a damn thing. And now the franchise, right now, leading up to today, as you said, you're trying to build on last year. They're terrible. 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
They're playing the Brooklyn Nets at home. It is a Wednesday night game. Now, look, let me be fair and be honest. It's not a playoff game for the Knicks. The Knicks, we know, are not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You had a 28-point lead at home.
Yeah.
28 points, Doug Sticks. All you have to do, not that you would do that, you could hold on to the ball. The shot clock is 24 seconds. The game is over. You're up 28 points in the 4th quarter. What do? You find a way to lose.
Oh, my God.
What is rock bottom for this franchise?
I don't know. You would think they'd build upon last year, but looks like they're not.
Are they now? But look, are they now
going
to get rid of their coach? It's possible. Are you now going to look at Julius Randle and say last year was a flash in the pan? Possible. We're back at square one again.
Well, you just hope that, it doesn't hurt them in the picks that they had not a successful year, but they made the playoffs. So they're not going to get a 1st round pick. They're not going to get a first.
It doesn't matter. Don't you see? They'll get a lotto pick and the top 3 players or something will be the most the best guys. The drop off will be at 4 and they'll pick 4. This is what happens all the time. It's nothing new with this franchise.
So is there a curse?
I'm not saying they're cursed, but New York City, all right, you're playing in what is known the Mecca of thank you. You knew the term.
Yes.
Look at that.
Mecca of basketball.
You're playing in the Mecca of basketball.
Yeah.
If you're a star athlete, and this is what pissed me off with LeBron James in 2010.
Yeah.
Do you remember the decision?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so LeBron, as a recap for people, in case you're new to the program, right? Or
the world.
Or the world. And you don't know what's going on in Russia either. LeBron James in 2010 says he's going to leave. Did I ever tell you this story? LeBron James says he's going to leave Cleveland, right? Yeah. Now, the day before, this was July of 2010, he made the decision on a Thursday night on ESPN.
Yes.
First off, he made the decision from the YMCA in Connecticut, the Knicks' hometown. Can we make it any worse? So on the Wednesday, the odds, sports books had odds of where LeBron was going to announce tomorrow night he was going to go. And there were some options where it was Cleveland, he's going to stay in Cleveland, Miami, New York. Who do you think had the best odds to get him?
New York, obviously.
Of course. Yeah. So what do? I call my season ticket rep at the Garden, and I say, okay, let's be smart here. LeBron's coming. Let me buy more season tickets. So I called my season ticket rep before my bar league softball game in Rockland Lake. I remember sitting in the car doing this, thinking I was brilliant. And the season reps, my reps to me, well, you're about the 49th person I called today because LeBron's going to come here, right? So that Thursday night, We're living in the townhouse that we used to live in.
Mm-hmm.
I remember sitting. I didn't sit on the couch for this. I pulled up a chair like I'm sitting in if you're following on camera, and I put it up in front of the TV because I knew this was going to be the moment. And this, whatever you want to call him, son of a gun, says, I'm taking my talents to South Beach. The Knicks, I don't want to say they're cursed, but they can't get a goddamn break.
Well, they're not building the infrastructure to attract talent. They're like, you know what I mean? They're like a black hole now. They're not like, so like we say that the Knicks are the mecca of basketball. The Dallas Cowboys say they're America's team. So like you would think these teams would be competitive. Like you think the Cowboys got to do a better job of it. They're not playing at the level they should be, and the Knicks are not playing nowhere near the level they should be.
All right, if you're an athlete, and this is what's bothered me with the Knicks, right? And I went through it with Kevin Durant 3 years ago with Darren. You know what? Okay, you're not going to come to the Knicks. That's fine, but go to Brooklyn, make it even worse, right? Go 2 miles down the road. If you're an athlete, and I've never understood this, and maybe I was wrong in my perception, I would want to play for the Knicks because the sponsorship money that you're going to make aside from your playing contract is going to be enormous because you're in New York.
Yeah, absolutely true. So then what is it about the Knicks that they're doing that is
it's Dolan. It has to be James Dolan, the owner.
Careful what you say, man. We're banned for life.
No, but it has to be. I don't know why these athletes are not coming. I just don't. And the Knicks now, it's like, here we are on March 1st with 6 weeks left in the NBA season. And as always, they're playing meaningless basketball. They'll get put into this little lotto ball machine in May where I'll watch the draft on a Tuesday night again, and I'll get excited thinking that their 8% chance, that they're going to get the 1 pick or 25% chance in the top 3, and they will get the actual pick that is the biggest drop off from a star.
Yep.
You can take it to the bank, put it in Vegas that the Knicks will end up there, right?
That should be a bet.
Speaking of basketball, because I said we're going to cover some other things.
Yeah, covering a lot today.
LeBron James, I brought him up a minute ago that I was unhappy with him in 2010 that he didn't come to the Knicks. LeBron has made it known, and it's kind of, I guess this is a cool thing if we're going to give him credit on this. His contract will end in the Lakers. Now, the Lakers are in a free fall, and he throws the entire team under the bus the other day. LeBron, and B-Rock and I were talking about this before the show, and it's true. When LeBron leaves a situation, when he left Cleveland originally, when he left Miami, and then when he left Cleveland a second time, whenever he leaves somewhere, he leaves the franchise in a far worse situation than they were when he got there. I mean, it's like, they're in disarray, and they stink now for 3 or 5 years.
Now, is it because his salary is so high, so they can't really give him good talent around him?
Well, that's part of it.
So, like, he just milks them dry, and then they have they have nobody, and then he leaves, and they really have nobody. Is that that's what's going on?
Well, I mean that's part of it, but in Miami where he won a title, he had Dwayne Wade. I mean, he's not there are
Ray Allen, Chris Bosh.
Yeah, not my favorite team, the Miami Heat, by any means, but yes, there were some talent there. But LeBron has made it known that when his son comes out and is drafted, and I believe it's either next year or the year after, he's going to finish his career playing with his son, which I think is cool, father and son situation. Now, wouldn't it be
just go if he goes to the Knicks?
It would be funny. Here's why.
And then LeBron is just awful and old.
Awful. Right, he's 42 years old on a 1-year deal, and now we get LeBron in the Knicks jersey. Right? I mean, you could.
It's going to happen with the Knicks' luck. That is going to happen.
So he's kind of made it public. And made it known that when his son gets drafted, now I don't think his son is going to be like a top pick. I think he's going to probably be maybe mid to late first rounder, if that. But whatever team picks him is basically also picking LeBron for a year. It was probably going to sign a 1-year deal.
Huge pick.
But LeBron at that point is, I don't know, pretty old.
Yeah. I mean, imagine those practices like, come on, Dad! Like peasant ball, Dad.
Yeah. I don't know. So I see we have. If you want to pull it up,
we got a LeBron question.
So it's submitted by Brian. Does LeBron have any influence over who will choose his son, who's Bronny, or will it be organic? I'm sure LeBron has influence. This dude has more influence in the game. He shouldn't.
True, but like if you have the first round pick, you're picking him.
No, you're not. I wouldn't pick. So here's the thing: if I was the Knicks, if I was Leon Rose,
you're telling me the Knicks are not going to pick LeBron's James's son.
But LeBron James's son is not LeBron James. Why? I'm not going to waste my future to have 1 year that I get LeBron.
Need something, bro.
Yeah, they do. And look,
even if it's just publicity for a year.
And as a Knicks fan, I need them to do something to help sell tickets. Because again, I'm full disclosure, I have a vested interest in the team. I make money when they do well. I lose money when they don't.
So you wouldn't want the New York Knicks to pick LeBron James' son, regardless of how good he is, because you know LeBron James is going to follow.
I wouldn't mind if they picked him if he wasn't great in the second round. I don't want them to waste a pick on him.
Okay,
and someone who can be talented on the court for me to get a 1 year of a 42-year-old LeBron James.
So, okay, that's your strategy. You don't think another team's going to scoop him up? First pick?
He's not going first pick. There's no chance. He's not that good.
If I just saw that B-Rock's next, Jeremy Lin needs an NBA contract.
Yeah, Jeremy Lin.
Jeremy Lin wasn't that bad.
Jeremy Lin, if you remember, when he had the game. So in 2012, we just had the 10-year anniversary of it. MSG did a thing on it. Jeremy Lin came out of nowhere, and he had like a 2 to 3. So from a ticket perspective, I had sold all my Knicks tickets for that season already because they were terrible. And then Jeremy Lin came around, and the market skyrocketed, but it didn't matter to me because I already sold my tickets. Jeremy Lin was probably the epitome of a situation of a flash in a pan, where for 2 to 3 weeks here, there was nobody that was talked about in the New York area, maybe even around the league, more than Jeremy Lin was. And then a year later, the dude is totally irrelevant.
Well, they traded him too, didn't they? Did they trade him? Did they trade him during the flash in the pan, or did they trade him?
No,
he had a bad season. And
he had a bad season. He didn't have a bad season. So if you remember, there was a game he played.
Yeah. So
the Lakers, in his little 2 to 3 week run, they had a home game. I believe it was on a Friday night, if I remember correctly, because he used to do Friday Night Knicks on MSG. He had a game versus like Kobe and that crew and lit it up. And then, everybody was going crazy for this Jeremy Lin guy. They're selling jerseys left and right. They had a game in Toronto, and the Knicks were tied. You could find the videotape on this. On this, I remember vividly because I was watching this. They were tied with like 15 seconds left. The Knicks call timeout. The Knicks have the ball, and they inbound the ball to Jeremy Lin. And I don't remember who it was on Toronto that was guarding him, but Jeremy Lin basically held the ball right over the midcourt line and watched the time go down, because the whole play was he was just going to step back where he was and fire up and try to hit the game winner. What does he do? He does that swish. Bang. I mean, the value of this guy went from being a no-name to like the next Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And then became the flash in the pan of Jeremy Lin.
So there's also, it's funny we say this because like literally 2 days ago, there's like a meme or a video that popped up where Jeremy got traded to the Lakers. And he's playing with Kobe, and it's like a last-second shot. And he like waves off Kobe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. So I don't think Jeremy Lin is coming back, Brian.
But we got off track. So you don't think if the Charlotte Hornets have the first round pick, they're gonna take Bronny because LeBron James is a package deal? You're getting a 2-for-1 pick.
But LeBron James is coming.
People would trade for LeBron James for a first round pick.
I don't know about that. Not at that stage in his career. And LeBron also, as I just mentioned, remember, he leaves your franchise in a lot more disarray. And he did that in a point in his career that when he was there, he was good. You're not even
I'm agreeing with that. I'm saying the publicity is worth it. Especially for New York. Look,
the Knicks, and first off, it would be funny with LeBron, because LeBron is not a Knicks fan at all. What he would do if his son went to the Knicks, because then it's like, are you going to go back on your deal because you're not a fan of the Knicks?
Why isn't he a fan of the Knicks?
He doesn't like Dolan. He doesn't like the Garden. Look, if LeBron James, and I'm not saying this is a negative thing against the Miami Heat or even the Cleveland Cavs when he went back there a second time. I'm just saying, if you're LeBron James, where would you in your career have made the most sponsorship money playing?
Knicks or Lakers?
Knicks or Lakers, right? But there were years in his prime, like 2010 when he was with Jim Gray, when he did the South Beach announcement. I'm taking my talent to South Beach, so I wanted to throw something at the TV. But you had your chances to play in the mecca of basketball. He's not going to want to do it now if his son's there even, but we'll see. But you know what? It's the Knicks. Because even if LeBron was sitting here saying he would want to do it, the lotto gods of this franchise will go against it. Or the pick before them, like Stephon Curry, like John Moran and Zion Williamson, will be spent on the player that would have helped the Knicks.
So here's my so we have it on camera, we have a recording, we can pull it up. Here's my prediction. They're gonna get first or second pick. They're gonna pick Bronny, so they get LeBron, and they're both gonna be god awful, and it's just gonna be their careers gonna be sucked into the Knick black hole.
And there you go. So we covered some Knicks on the show. It had been a while, and I felt like the last time we did it, I was on like a euphoria high with how well they were playing, and now you can see how quickly things can change in the sports world. All right, moving to a sport we have never covered.
Yeah,
a popular sport. I'm gonna give you a hint. You ready?
Yeah, give me a hint. Let's play a little game.
I used to have a ticket package in this sport. Ooh. It is a very popular sport in America, and I don't think in all previous 66 episodes of Mind Your Puckin' Business we have ever covered this major sport. It is what?
Soccer?
Nope.
You have tickets to this.
I used to have a ticket plan.
Plan?
Yeah, I used to have tickets. I used to go to the game.
There's a ticket plan called season tickets? Or is it not called that for this sport?
My wife and I had a partial plan. We had an 11-game plan.
For a major sport.
That plays in this area.
It's not hockey.
It's not hockey.
It's not basketball.
Correct.
It's not football.
Right.
We talk about that all
What's
the time.
The other sport? Wow.
There is another sport that's played here in New Jersey?
Well, New York area. 2 stadiums. One in the Bronx, one in Queens.
Oh, baseball.
Here we go. Ding, ding, ding.
Well, they haven't played in so long. I forgot they were actually a sports team.
So the MLB, I don't want to get into like breaking down teams because at this point, like when I watch SportsCenter highlights now, I'm so removed from the game that I'll see like, they'll say this person's up for the Cy Young. And I'm like, wow, I never even heard of that dude. It sounds like the guy who worked like the grocery store. I didn't even know it was a Cy Young picture. But baseball now is in a lockout situation. Here's why we're going to bring it up, because the NHL has been riddled in the past with some lockouts. Obviously, there was a really bad one in 1995 after the Rangers won the Cup. There was another really bad one where they lost the entire season in 2004. And then they also had a lockout. Let's see, it was 2013, the beginning of the 2012-2013 season. So baseball had set a deadline, and we're taping the show today on Tuesday, March 1st, but they had originally said that by yesterday, if an agreement was not reached with both sides, both the Major League Baseball and then the Major League Baseball Players Association, that they're committing then to a shortened season. So opening day, which really now is only 4 weeks away, would be in jeopardy because you wouldn't have time to do spring training. And spring training, by the way, is, again, I'm not a baseball guy, is so overblown. It's like 6 weeks of watching fields in Florida. I just have players, and not only do I really not know a lot of the players anymore in the league, but I'm watching like single A prospect. I don't know my stuff. So I don't really think it would be the worst thing if spring training got shortened, but apparently news came out that they'd agreed to extend the deadline to today at 5 p.m. So Major League Baseball is on the clock in the next 7 hours here, where they need to have an agreement or else they're going to have a shortened season. But can I say something about this?
Please.
And I'm not anti-baseball at all, but there's 162 games to begin with. If we ended up with a shortened season and you had a 135 game season, that's enough anyway.
No one would notice.
No one would know anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Like in hockey, when the Devils won the Stanley Cup in 1995 and it was a shortened season, if I remember correctly, it was a 48 game season instead of the original 82. Right? That's like a 50% drop. That's significant.
So that Stanley Cup has asterisks next to it, right?
You said it on me. I'm not disagreeing with it. But people say I'm biased if I say that. But if baseball ends up doing, like here's the other thing. If you start canceling games, both sides are going to work even harder, right? Because the players, you would think from a negotiation, they need, right?
Yeah.
They're losing money. You're starting to see, okay, I'm not playing now April 1st. My first game is at the earliest April 15th or whatever it's going to be. So if you end up having a 135 game season as 100 instead of 162, who cares? It's still enough games, right?
Is this a situation where the players think they're not getting paid enough?
Yeah, there's that. I read something yesterday, and again, I haven't followed it that in depth, but I did read something yesterday where the owners are saying, this is usually what happens in lockouts in any sports because it's similar to the NHL. The owners are saying they're not making as much money as they should. But I guess a report came out over the weekend in some newspaper that the Atlanta Braves was the organization that they mentioned. Now, they also won the World Series last year, so you got to keep that in mind. Had a record year for profits. which doesn't look good, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, but you also won the World Series. Your jersey sales probably skyrocketed. You know, you sold all your tickets because people want to see the World Series champions, all your playoff games.
But baseball has a problem. Here's where baseball has a problem. All right, where the New York, I'll take the Rangers for example. The Rangers versus the Yankees. Okay, the Rangers will have every year 41 home games. There's 41 home games. There's only 18,000 seats. The Yankees, on the other hand, will have 81 home games and 54,000 seats. So who wants to go? And even when I was really into the Yankees back in the day, who wants to go on a 40-degree night on a Tuesday in April to see the Yankees play the Twins, right? You're going to have, I mean, it's supply and demand, right?
True.
There's so much supply because there's 81 games and there's also 3 times the capacity as an arena would have. And the demand's not going to be there. So I look, I don't know. I hope they get it worked out because there are plenty of baseball fans.
Yeah.
I like watching baseball, but I'm not going to lose sleep if you tell me that at the end of the day, there's going to be 130 games as opposed to 162.
I believe they 1,000% do it to themselves. If you've noticed, baseball's not on social media. Baseball doesn't do very good marketing. So, you know, you got to get people excited. And why not on those 40-degree nights when they're playing whoever on a Tuesday night? Why don't you have your 4 best players do like an autograph signing with the first 4,000 people who went to the stadium?
They need, well, you know what? I like to think in any of the 4 major sports when there's been lockouts that they will come to their senses and figure out a way to get it done before games are lost because that's their revenue, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to find out today if they can come to their senses. I see that there's something coming across the screen.
Connor wants baseball bad. Connor wants baseball bad.
Please let there be baseball.
And then Connor wants to change the rules to speed up the game.
Some of the rules, you know what? They started now like the extra inning rule where they start with a runner on second. I don't understand that at all.
Who's making these overtime rules?
Like, right, you don't like it in football too.
Who's making these overtime rules? Like, if there's a heated game, let them play forever until someone messes up. Like they're paid to play a sport. Let them duke it out with the same rules they've had all game, because obviously those rules work because we have a tie game. So let's keep it going.
You know who would agree with you?
Who?
The Buffalo Bills fan base.
Yes,
on that,
100%.
for sure.
100%.
One last thing on baseball, because it is a New York kind of feel to it, and that is Derek Jeter yesterday announcing he is stepping down as the CEO of the Miami Marlins, which was a surprise from what I read yesterday. Derek Jeter, when Derek Jeter left baseball, I don't know if you remember this. Obviously, his career.
His last game.
His last game, right? With the walk-off hit versus Baltimore.
It was like a Kobe game.
It was exactly. It was like the dude had like the Midas touch of gold and was born with it. It didn't work out in Miami for him. I mean, they haven't really been that good, so I can't. Maybe he's gotten the flexibility with payroll down there, which was a big thing for them, and maybe he's done some of the back end stuff. But the results on the field, you can't really sit there and say he kept his Midas touches as a CEO. And if you're Derek Jeter, you have made so much money, and you just do not need to be involved. Like, I know you probably don't want to sit around all day and play Xbox like I would like to sometimes, but you don't need to be doing this.
So, and loyalty is something we've kind of lost. You think the greats in baseball would ever go to another team? They're like Yankee legends. There's like statues of them at the field. So why would you go to Miami? Why wouldn't you just be
a consultant? An ownership.
Yeah,
but here's the thing: that a CEO gig that he's doing running a Major League Baseball team is a full-time thing.
Yeah.
At this point, you've got a beautiful wife in Hannah Davis, or Hannah Jeter now, right? You've got 2 daughters, I believe. I've actually seen his house in Tampa when I was down there for work.
I've seen it in Greenwood Lake, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sure it's similar, right? You don't need to put yourself through I don't want to say aggravation, but all the stresses and anxiety of being the CEO. You just don't need it. You made enough money. Go be what you just said. Go be a consultant, do something like that, but enjoy your life, man.
Yeah.
You've done enough. So Derek Jeter out. So a couple other sports things before we turn to the Rangers real quickly. 2 weeks, one of the best times of the year in sports is March Madness comes
Okay.
back.
Yes.
We were deprived 2 years ago. Someone just wrote something about Jeter, and
We got a lot of Jeter stuff coming in
Yeah,
now.
go ahead.
Do you
Go
want
ahead. Yeah,
to
sure.
roll through it?
Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right. Jeter gave the Yankees.
Giancarlo Stanton, which has been a hot and cold relationship, let me tell you. Yeah, Giancarlo Stanton has been hot and cold. Giancarlo Stanton is now what I do know about him is that guy can either be really good or he can be really awful and strike out all the time. Brian Hansen, just a friendly reminder that Jeter is statistically one of the worst defensive players in the history of baseball. That is correct. Yes, thank you. But I will let Brian know, who is a Red Sox fan, that Derek Jeter also has 5 World Series rings and some MVPs and all that stuff. So if you're concerned about the ground ball going to short, that's fine. On to March Madness. So 2 years ago, as we approach the 2-year anniversary of coronavirus, actually, in a couple weeks, a kind of shocking moment to me. I was driving home, and one of my buddies called me and said to me that March Madness in 2020 was canceled. This was a Thursday, I think, and right before the world shut down. And it was at that moment that I knew that coronavirus may be real, because they shut down the entire March Madness tournament and they weren't going to do it. So we didn't have it 2 years ago. Last year we had it, but the fan attendance was a whole issue because of what we're going through. It looks like, from what I've seen, that 2022, when it comes back in 2 weeks, is going to be pretty, back to normal, where the arenas are packed with student sections with their faces painted and cheerleaders and mascots and all that stuff. So March Madness, buckle up, because it is a really fun couple of weeks. Do you do a bracket?
Yeah, I mean, I try to do it as much as possible. I'll get into it. But did you see? So, like, we've been working really hard here, at Undefeated Media, making sure we're pumping out some great stuff. And I just saw some stuff come up yesterday, like every team lost from the 1st seed to the 7th seed. So I thought the March Madness started. I was like, and I'm like, wait, what? Like,
so this past Saturday, which will show you, as if you need more of a reason to know how March Madness is so unpredictable. This past Saturday, 7 of the top 10 teams all lost, which I believe was a record. I don't think that's ever happened. So that should tell you there is no clear-cut favorite. Madness. It is going to be March Madness, which will be great. That Thursday and Friday, when you have that first Thursday and Friday of games, that is awesome.
Madness. Yes.
That is the one of the 2 best sports days.
And that's what I thought when all that stuff came out. I was like, wait. The top 7 teams in the March Madness all lost today. Like, we're going to have like a 16 seed win the NCAA tournament. It was crazy, but I was wrong.
You were wrong. You've got time to study your brackets.
Yes.
So the brackets will come out a week from Sunday on the 13th. And actually that first Thursday of games will coincidentally be St. Patrick's Day this year. So that should be fun. And on St. Patrick's Day this year, also, we have the coronavirus makeup of the Rangers playing the Islanders now.
Wow.
Because the game was canceled back on Thanksgiving weekend. That will be on St. Patrick's Day. Yes.
Do we I know there was a vote about it. Do we get to vote on March? I mean, do we get to bet on March Madness because it's college sports?
Yeah.
Because there was something. There was something in the New Jersey voting that we just did that for college sports.
Oh, college sports is on
we
there.
were like we're not allowed to like bet on Rutgers or something.
That I don't know. Maybe if it's that, but Rutgers will not be in the Final Four. So
I can go on DraftKings and make bets.
You can.
Whoa.
He's ready. He's ready. So the New York Rangers.
Yes.
Before we close this episode out, the New York Rangers, we talked about getting back after the start of the second half of the season. They played on Thursday night a divisional game versus Washington at home. That if you sat there and said, if I could script how a game would go perfectly, it's exactly how it went, except for maybe Igor Shesterkin losing his shutout in the last minute. The Rangers won 4-1. They were outstanding on Thursday night versus Washington. There were no fireworks really between Tom Wilson and Ryan Reeves, which we thought there would be. The Rangers played great. They then went into a huge divisional game on Saturday and lost 1-0. You know what? It's just amazing how dumb people can be. I'm reading Saturday night on like Ranger sites that I go to. Oh my God, blow the team up. They're not able to compete. It's one game. They lost 1-0. And I am not going to trust Tristan Jarry, the Pittsburgh goalie, in the playoffs at all. So you get a little bit annoyed at that. Now, really what bothers you and you don't like to see is the following night on Sunday, they lost at home to the Vancouver Canucks. And you don't like to see that they didn't play well. Here's what I'm going to say. You've lost 2 in a row. You're going to find out really does this word make sense? The fortitude of a team, like the guts of your team,
like
the core. Word. Yeah, it sounds
fortitude.
I don't know if it works, man, do I look smart? If it doesn't, I look like an idiot. But
fortitude.
But
my thing's not
you're gonna find out right now to see how they respond. They have St. Louis at home tomorrow night. They have the Devils here on Friday night. These are both winnable games, although St. Louis is playing well. So you find a way to stop the bleeding before it starts bleeding. You've only lost 2 in a row. It happens, right? You're not going to win all.
Didn't you just come off with a tough stretch? You
Yeah.
had the Capitals, you had the
Penguins.
Yeah.
But you're fine. You don't like losing Sunday night at home to Vancouver. But you know what? There's plenty of games in the course of an NHL season where, as they say, any team can win on any given night, and you don't like to see that. So we'll see how they recoup this week. Now, with the trade deadline approaching, a couple things. We're going to try and get Dan Rosen on.
Awesome.
Because the Rangers are linked to about 1,000 different names, as they always are. It's going to be very interesting as the trade deadline approaches in 3 weeks from yesterday on March 21st to see. Chris Drury is going to do something. We know this. It's a matter of what he does and how committed he is to this one season making a run for it. I think the overall thing that we don't know is how vested will Chris Drury be in making a run this year, and we're going to find that out pretty easily with the moves he makes at the deadline. We're going to talk about the Devils for a minute, even though I don't like doing this. So I'm honest, right? I
love it.
Well, the Devils, in fairness, I'm not saying this to be rude. They haven't had that great of a season, so there's not really been a lot to talk about. Now, the Devils on Thursday night come back from the All-Star, or the All-Star, not All-Star, Olympic break, whatever, and they go into Pittsburgh and they literally smash the Penguins. I think it was 6-1. They put up a 6 spot there. They put up 5 on Chicago the next night, and even though they lost, and then last night versus Vancouver put up a 7 spot. So in the last 5 days, there is no better team offensively than the New Jersey Devils. Jesper Bratt, I'm going to mention, is playing as good of hockey right now for the Devils as anybody in the NHL. If I am a Devil fan, and that is a major if, because we know I am not, I am going to say this. The positive news for you as you look down the road, because it's obviously not going to happen for that team this year. They still don't have a goalie for that. But the positive news for you is you have Jack Hughes locked up. You have his brother coming here.
Nice.
Obviously, Jesper Bratt can play. Maybe you're someone who believes in Nico Hischier. I'm not saying I'm on his train. I'm not saying I'm not. I don't know enough about him. I don't watch enough Devil games to tell you that. I think offensively, you may be okay in your youth movement. What you've got to solve is what I just said. You still have no goaltender, and I'm not buying that Blackwood is the answer long term. And you've got to shore up some defensive core long term. Ty Smith may be an answer, although he hasn't had the greatest year. But so I think if you're the Devils, you don't like that you're not competitive right now. But if you kind of step back a little bit and look at the overall picture, I think you'll be okay. Nice. The Devils at the trading deadline will be busy as well because they have some players. PK Subban comes to mind, who's on a last year of a deal that some playoff team, and let's hope, please not the Rangers, I'm sure they won't, will want to take a flyer on because they will be trying to, make a run in a certain team's cup run. And he may be, someone as a cup rental. So I don't expect PK Subban to be on the Devils come the end of the season.
Yeah, maybe trade him for 2 decent D guys.
Well, I don't know what the market for PK Subban will be, but I don't.
Not amazing D guys, but decent. Decent, playable.
Yeah,
can get on the ice.
Can get on the ice. Well, look, every year in the league, and you see this every year, there will be teams that on the play. It's like this in any sport: buyers versus sellers, right? The teams that think at trading deadlines they can make a deep run are buyers, and there's teams like the Devils that say, you know what, we're not going anywhere this year. We have players with contracts expiring. We might as well get rid of them. And that's probably what you're going to see. Not just with the Devils. There's plenty of other teams. I would expect the Islanders with Lou Lamoriello, who's one of the best general managers in not only hockey, but in all sports, to make a move with his pieces that he feels other teams can rent with. The Rangers did that, right? The Rangers in 2018, where their infamous letter when they sent to the season ticket holders where they said, we're going to rebuild this team and we're going to be a different team, basically said, okay, Ryan McDonough, you're out. And all these other pieces. Rick Nash, you're going to Boston for a first-round pick, which worked out great.
True. Because
that also helped bring back Ryan Strome if you follow the path.
There you go.
Any other questions from you, sir, on today's show?
Great job. I love it. Yeah, it was a fiery episode. You had a nice fiery
I got, you know what, the Knicks really right now are
we should
just
talk
angry.
about them more. We should talk about them more. I like the fiery Jeff.
So I don't know if you remember this, that when before episode 1 of this show, way back in the day, we were doing like promos, and you wanted me to be like super fired up in the thing, and I told you it has to be, in the moment.
Comments already flying in. Love the fire.
Thank you, Connor. I will try to bring the fire every week. And you know what? As we approach New York Ranger playoff hockey, it won't be that difficult to bring the fire.
Can you say bring the fire one more time?
Bring the fire.
One more time.
Oh, here we go. Bring the fire.
Nice.
There you go. Sound effects. Thank you, Undefeated Media. We thank you for tuning in. As always, you can send your questions to mypbshow@gmail.com. We appreciate that. We thank the Bamboozle Project as always. Check them out. Use promo code MYPB when you go to the sites. And again, I've said this before. I'll say it again. Their hat that they have is the warmest winter hat I've ever had in my life.
Nice.
So use your MYPB promo code. We thank you for tuning in. We're going to try and get Dan Rosen on either next week or the week after to talk some trade deadline stuff, as there's a ton of stuff going on there. And that is it from here. Anything on your end, Dougie Sticks?
No, great job today. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.